didn't think I would ever hear myself saying this, but welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kasal Paul. I'm an artist and a maritime professional. I've been wanting to do the YouTube thing for a while, but wasn't sure as to exactly what I would do. So I'm kind of testing the waters with the content I'm going to be putting out. But I figured I should start with something I really enjoy that I don't speak enough on. And that's basically psychology. So long story short, I have a first degree in psychology. I've never used the thing. I don't practice psychology at my work. I don't have a second job where I can practice the discipline. I don't lecture. I literally have a degree I'm not using. So I figured, why not just talk about it here? Or at least talk about some of the things that people think they know or people are kind of familiar with or aware of. So these videos will more or less be my opinion backed up by scientific consensus. I'll be basically looking at psychological theories and consensus within the community on a lot of phenomena that people tend to experience and they don't know how to articulate, or they have an idea as to what it is, but they don't have a clear idea as to what exactly those things are. So today will be a really good start as we look at something called the bystander effect. Right, so let's start with a scenario. Have you ever been in cash trees and two secondary school students start fighting? You know that feeling you get when a crowd starts to gather and then you start looking around to see who's going to be the one to separate the fight? You've probably never thought about this, but you're looking around to see or try to find out who's the brave person now step forward to intervene, while other people are probably looking at you as well to be the one to step forward to stop the fight. Well, this strange feeling or this strange experience where you have a group of people gathered around an individual or individuals who is in need of help or some kind of intervention is called the bystander effect. So I'm going to have to refer to my notes for this one. But this is a phenomenon that was popularized by a social psychologist by the name of Abe Latany and John Daly in the 1960s. Basically, what happened in a nutshell was this 28-year-old was stabbed right outside of her apartment door in New York City, and over a dozen neighbors passed by or they watched. No one helped. The tenets of the bystander effect state that people or individuals tend to be less likely to offer aid or help in the presence of other people. For some reason, we tend to experience an overwhelming sense of fear, probably apathy, that cripples the call to action, basically. But the question I have is, why is this a thing? Why does this happen? They went on to develop two reasons as to why this is a thing and why this basically happened. So, number one, the diffusion of responsibility. The presence of a large group tends to diffuse the sense of personal responsibility. The motivation you have to respond dissipates or decreases because it's spread out amongst a large group. So essentially, in some sense, you're projecting that sense of personal responsibility onto others because there are other people present. Chances are what would actually happen is that sense of personal responsibility would be maintained if there were less people, in theory. Number two, social influence. This one is much easier to digest. So you know that like very annoying expression where your parent or your guardian would make the comment like, well, you know, like if your friend jump off a cliff, would you do it too? It's roughly something akin to that, right? What they're basically trying to say is that in those situations, you would gauge the behavior of the group and act accordingly. So if no one is brave enough to step forward, you're not brave enough to step forward. Because there is no one else taking the lead and trying to intervene, stop the fight, provide assistance or aid, neither are you. Or basically, the likelihood of you being that one person is very low. Here's my personal theory around the bystander effect. I'm of the opinion that people simply don't like to stand out. Here's one way to think about it, right? The very first thing that a lot of people do, not everybody, but a lot of people do when you go to a party, some kind of social event, is that you tend to look for the people you actually know. You gravitate towards those people because you want to blend in. The reason why you want to blend in is because standing out can be very uncomfortable in social settings, especially if you're not a social butterfly. Things like standing out, being different, being the hero is actually very hard to do because those things call for you to be a bit exceptional, and a lot of people are actually very comfortable with being comfortable. What happens when a fight breaks out in town? Chances are the same thing that is experiencing like a party or a social event, there's the same thing that happens in that moment. You don't want to stand out. Like, nobody really wants to take the charge and be the hero. It's very important to distinguish that not being motivated or persuaded to stand out is different from not knowing what's right or wrong. Your inability or your choice to not be the one to stand out is not indicative of your sense of morality. It's not a matter of, well, you should know better, so you should stand out. The reality is it's actually very natural and very normal to be reclusive in those situations and to not stand out, despite the urgency or the need to help or assist. The truth is, and the reality is, you really shouldn't beat yourself up on it. But think about this. If you do manage to be the one to stand out, if you do manage to take the first step to intervene, to separate the fight, to break the phenomenon of the bystander effect, don't be surprised if you turn back to realize that there are more people behind you ready to help. After all, the reality is there's always strength in numbers. People tend to follow someone who assumes a leadership position. That's my first video, my first little psych video on the bystander effect. I really hope you learned something new today. Please like and subscribe and share the video with all your friends, and stick around for the next video.